Hello, my name is Shania Colton, and I'm going to be doing my presentation on Louis Pasteur. I chose to do my presentation on Louis Pasteur because he was a very interesting man. He wasn't satisfied with just having one job or just figuring one thing out and being like, okay, well, I've done my job, that's good enough. No, he wanted to figure out what else he could discover, how else could he help people and help just better France as a whole. Louis Pasteur, he was born December 27th of 1822, and he passed away September 28th of 1895. In his early years, while he was in school, he wasn't thought to be the most intelligent student. He took more interest in drawing and fishing rather than learning, so his teachers didn't think he was really learning much, didn't think he really knew much, but he turned out to be a very intelligent man. Pasteur's first degrees were in letter and mathematical sciences, and he later completed his Doctor of Science degree. After graduation, he became a physics professor, and shortly after that, he became a chemistry professor. Pasteur was known as a chemist, a physicist, a biologist, and a microbiologist. He strongly believed in aseptic technique. Aseptic technique is used to minimize the transferring of pathogens and infections in places such as like hospitals, clinics, how we have the urgent care now, laboratories. You just don't want to cross-contaminate anything that could make more harm be done to something. During his life as a chemist and a physicist, he studied organic crystals. He came up with the fundamental rule while doing so, and it is only products originating under the influence of life are asymmetrical because the cosmic forces that preside over their formation themselves are asymmetrical. His life as a biologist, he came up with the pasteurization for the beer and wine industry, and he pretty much saved it all together. His wine and beer pasteurization technique was used to stop diseases from being caused through the beer and wine industry. He used a heating treatment of 55 degrees Celsius to keep the wine and beer from spoilage and spread of disease. But picking off from that, he more so took a harder, well, not, I don't want to say a harder, but he was more so interested in finding a way to improve the beer industry because he was mad about the Franco-Prussian War and wanted to get back at Germany because he knew that was the biggest thing they had was their beer industry. So he wanted to figure out the best ways to do that. So he wanted to take over their beer industry for France, so France could get back at Germany. So France was able to take over the beer industry due to his pasteurization. Spontaneous generation is something Pasteur did not believe in, so he used his Swan-neck flask to prove it to be untrue. He believed that dust carried the germs of yeast and microorganisms. Microorganisms only appear on food due to dust particles or other things that have landed on it. And I have a picture already drawn out, and it is to show y'all right here. Okay, so we have the Swan-neck flask. It got its name from its shape. It is shaped like a S or a swan, whichever one you want to say. Broth was used in this experiment, but Pasteur preferred to call it an infusion. In this Swan-neck flask, you still have an air passageway that air can travel through the tube, and this is the broth or infusion that he used in it, and this is the flame he used to light up the broth or infusion. He used the heat to boil the inside of the flask to kill all of the microorganisms that was already inside of it, and so to prevent any fermentation or anything inside of it. So Later, he left it there for about a week or so, and where the air can still get in, you had dust particles to come, but it was trapped inside of the curve. It could not get into the infusion no matter what. So the dust and microorganisms will just be trapped inside of the neck of the flash, but the particles won't be able to contaminate the infusion. Later, he turned the flash to the side, so the dust particles or microorganisms would be able to travel down inside of the infusion. So right here we have where the dust and microorganism has traveled and it has reached the infusion where it has contaminated it, and many microorganisms began to grow and spread throughout the infusion. And this is his one-net flash that he invented to prove that spontaneous generation is not real. Things don't just magically appear out of nowhere. It comes from the dust particles that's traveled down and landed on food and everything else. That's how microorganisms come about and how they spread. Now we have Pasteur and microbiology. He established the immunology branch of science. He did this by establishing the treatments and vaccines for diseases such as anthrax, rabies, and chlorella. But the rabies vaccine pretty much just took him over the top. He was a legend after that. The rabies vaccine was the last vaccine he created and the greatest achievement he had in France's eyes. His first time trying to find the germ and isolate it, he failed. So that was a big turning point. Like, he really didn't like that, especially when he had been successful in so much other things. But finally he figured it out. He found the isolation and he stuck to it, and he treated a 9-year-old boy named Joseph Meister with the anti-rabies or the rabies vaccine, and that turned him into a hero. Like, the boy had nothing wrong with him after that, and he was just perfectly fine. Rabies was just really big in France at the time, and they needed something to cure the people because it was killing a ton of people at the time. Louis Pasteur was considered the French national hero after that, and he still is.